So let's talk about 8 brutal advice the young man needs to hear today. Because young men today are depressed, they're anxious, underemployed, at the same time overweight. You are afraid to talk to women. And let's get into it because these are brutal advice you need to learn as a young man. And these are advice that I think I wish I got them earlier, but heck, no regrets because I think I'm living them now. And this advice, they are super timeless. You see, one problem is the young man today is living with advice that no longer works. That is why it just feels like everything is difficult because the advice is living with no longer works. The dating advice that worked for your father no longer works today. The advice about just go to school, work hard, and the world is your oyster no longer works today. So what happens? We need timeless principles. Principles that have worked yesterday, principles that are working now, and principles that would always work in the future. And in this case, we're referring to mindset. By the way, my name is Tonore, and I create content for young men to get their shit together. So basically, if you like the ideas you hear in this video, share this video with somebody, right, that you know needs it. That action of sharing this video would basically help the channel grow and guarantees that I help more young men out there to find their voice. Number one, brutal honest truth is nobody is coming to save you. You see, when I was in my university days, right, one thing that got me was the fact that I could see my mates that who I got into university with live life on easy mode. Basically, they basically almost never lacked anything. And then it dawned on me that, yeah, because a lot of people are sponsoring them, right? Because they already have value to give. Like when I mean sponsoring them, I'm not referring to their parents. I'm referring to older men. So that means it did make sense that I could compete with older men who already had resources. You see, women themselves are born with value. They can create life. Men have to create their own value, and that is the beauty of being a man. And you worked for it, you earned it. That's what I said, and that is why I say, men, one of if to fix your insecurities, become capable as fuck through through what you work for. That's because the man who works for his own stuff would think work talk different than somebody who got his stuff for free. So that mindset of earning it is a mindset that would help you win in life. Second brutal trait is dating. You see, dating is supposed to be simple, but these days it's so complex because everybody wants something to sell to you. They make it very complex. You see, the best dating advice you can get as a man is to improve yourself. Every other advice you get is to either sell you a course, right? On things that are either too detailed. They look important in the surface level, but deeper level, they don't work. Right? Some shady tactics or they're basically distractions. You hear things like, oh, don't pick her calls, don't ignore her, be cold towards her. But guess what? All that is just to sell you, just to hold your attention or something. But if you get this idea that the best dating advice is to improve yourself because they're really not dating problems. What they have are problems within you that show up in your dating life. But if you fix those problems before you get into a relationship, one thing you guarantee is your relationship is going to be easier. You see, and one harsh truth you need to learn, you need to know is that the people you date or the person you're going to end up with as your significant other is going to be one of the best serious choices you ever have in this life. You see, a few choices actually matter in this life. Where you live, who you live with, what you work on. As a man, those questions are things that you can never ignore because they basically shape your entire being as a man, right? So be very careful of the people you date, right? And the solution here is very simple, right? If you have a vision for the kind of future you want to create, it's easy for you to know what you want in a partner. And when you know what you want in a partner, it is easy, it is more difficult for you to be distracted. And I tell people that I coach that the moment you get clear on who you want to date, right? Trust me, all these bodies you're saying will be less attractive to you, right? The third point here, because I wrote these things down, I don't forget them, and I could always go off a tangent. Is three is patience. You see, one harsh truth is that one harsh truth you need to have to come up with at the man is your results don't come quick. Anybody you're seeing with results now started a while ago. But the brain, the mind can't comprehend how long ago they started. So we begin to become impatient with our results. The harsh truth is that we need to be impatient with our actions. That is, take massive actions now. But guess what? The results will always show when the result needs to show. And this is why, if you watch my vlogs every time, you basically hear the word patience over and over again. Think about it. If you have ever achieved one thing, you can never estimate the exact same point where you got it. For example, if you have been to the gym and you have six packs, right? Guess what? You can never pinpoint the points you had your six packs, but guess what? All you just know is that you were doing it. Patience, you cultivated patience, right? So as a man, patience, because everything in this world that is worthwhile compounds over time. But guess what? We are being sold all these cheap ideas of what? Fast money, fast life. Anybody who you are seeing with quick results most likely has a scam happening in the background. And life, time will tell. Life will catch up. Because you see, as a young man, you really, really cannot buy into the idea that quick results gets you anywhere in life. And this idea of patience, or because young men have this idea of taking shortcuts, all short there are basically no shortcuts in life. There are things that I regard as shortcuts, right? Like for example, is surrounding yourself with men who are older than you. But apart from that, there's really no shortcut. That's not really a shortcut, but a quick hack. Besides the things like quick tips, quick hacks, they don't get you far in life. They may get you fast to a particular point. But guess what? Every shortcut has a consequence. So it's going to take you back to where you're supposed to be. So when you adopt this mindset of patience, you will get to realize that as a man, it takes time to get your results. Everything compounds over time. When you see a man with a family that's interesting, don't think he got it what a year ago. It took him years to get there. And I remember this saying from an MMA fighter that you win your fight in your training, you go and get the trophy. So you win your fight in your training, you go and collect the trophy in the ring. It's that simple. When you adopt that mindset, this is why I tell men to learn how to fight, because it will teach you to be patient. It will teach you to be humble, to embrace the journey, not the destination. Because the men who obsess over the destination never go far, because everything takes time. You see, it's like planting. This is why the Jewish people in the world are the richest people. Now, people hate them because for some reasons, but one thing is, if you want to ever get rich, you have to study them. Not just what they are doing, but the proverbs they say in their head. For example, the Jewish proverb, every man needs a book, needs to write a book, needs to have a son, needs to plant a tree. The idea of the tree is it will teach you patience. That everything that comes well in life, right? Anything that comes good compounds over time. So when you learn patience, you learn a virtue. Number four is education. You see, there's this big mistake that guys have that when you leave school, all education stops. Guess what? That is where the real education starts. The real education is not in the classroom where you're seated and getting and memorizing stuff. No. The real education comes from real life experiences. They come from things you experience. So guess what? Your what you learn outside of school is more important than what you learn inside of school. I'm referring to things like relationships. I'm referring to things like orientation with women, because dating is simple. Dating is how many women can I get to be with me? That's the simple thing. But guess what? School will not teach you that. School will not teach you how to be healthy. School will not teach you how to have meaningful relationships. But these are things that you have to learn every day. But you learn them fast by learning, by having real life experiences. Yes, you can have a mentor, but without real life experiences, you will never really know them. You will never ever really know them. You will deceive yourself around. But guess what? If you have this idea that you are constantly learning, and this is why I tell people that one thing that makes me learn things faster is about learning new things, about learning more things. And that mindset has basically helped me, because if you look at anybody who has stopped learning, you can basically hear the death, the rot in their ideas. Yeah. And you can basically tell that by their results. And guess what? Result takes time. So when you have this patience and you're learning every day, and trust me, as a man, any idea that you see as a man and you get through experience is easier to keep than the ones that you get in your classroom. This is why, as much as possible as a man, one thing you can always do to bless yourself is to have as much experiences as possible. Right? See the experience as a path itself. Five, respect. You see, if you have to tell people that they should respect you, guess what? They wouldn't respect you, because if you want people to respect you, they do it by themselves. And if you want people to respect you, I know I've made a video on how to get respect, how to earn respect. The harsh truth is that the quickest, the simplest, see, any advice that can be simplified should never be taught. Should never ever be taught. Right? Because if you want people to respect you, it is actually very simple. Respect other people. It's basic common sense, but guess what? People don't want that. People want to hear the quick hack, the quick way to get people to respect you. But that shit does not work. Let me tell you the truth. It does not work, and it does not work at all. respect everybody, a cleaner, a millionaire, a billionaire, and trust me, watch the way other people will respect you. Because if you think you deserve respect, trust me, it means you don't deserve it. If you have to tell somebody to respect you, they will not respect you. Precisely, this goes for men and women. Number 7 is your emotions. You see, young men these days are being told about how they should express their emotions, how they should act based on their emotions. I tell you, no. Your emotions should be moral compasses, right? It should be indicators. What that means is when you feel sad, if you can process the reason behind the sadness, then you can know what to do. Then you can know lessons to learn, what to do next. Right? Not acting on them, but feeling them and doing what to do regardless. Speaking of emotions, one problem we have with young men these days, with being in tune with their emotion is the more you rely on your emotions, the more you are attached to your emotions, the less disciplined you are. So anybody who is telling you to be in touch with your emotions is somebody who is trying to manipulate you heavily. Because a man who understands his emotions, whenever something happens, he will process the emotions and do what he needs to do. That itself, that is the real core of discipline. Separating your emotions from what you're supposed to do. If you can do what you're supposed to do without without using your emotions as a crutch, without using your emotions to stop you, trust me, it shows that you are really disciplined. And that's it as a man. See, and then speaking of emotions, right? Whenever people talk about expressing your emotions, I always ask a question that hooks everybody. Show me a man that is powerful today. Show me a man that is super competent today and is emotional. They keep quiet because they know that this idea of men becoming emotional is simply a tool for them to control them. And a man who is always in touch with his emotions is a man who you say doing dumb shit. Guess what? That is what the world needs today. That's what the world wants today. It wants you doing some dumb stuff. Guess what? My message here is simple, right? Feel your emotions and do what you want to do regardless. This is why, as a man, if you don't know what you want to do, you have a very big problem because it's easy for you to feed into distractions. And speaking of emotions, the next brutal honesty is what is discipline, self mastery. See, self mastery just simply means that you can give yourself a command and do it regardless. Self mastery also means that you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, you know what you can do and what you cannot do. You know your limitations, you are fully self aware. And this thing happens when you are in control of your emotions, right? That's the whole idea of self mastery. And there's not a single there's not a single man who you admire who does not have self mastery. You see, women can do whatever they want to do, right? Provided that is within the law. And guess what? They will most likely go scot free. But as a man, you should understand that you are seen to be the pinnacle of consciousness. You are seen to be the head of everything. Like you're seen to be the most, I think, apex predator. Like basically, you're seen to be the highest point of society. So you have to be like that. And what that means is you have to control yourself, be able to give yourself commands, and guess what? Get things done. The more you can get done, fuck your emotional state, the more mastery you have over yourself. What that means is the more intentional you are by your life is actually self mastery. And if you want to be very intentional about your life, start by having a vision. Because when you have a vision, that itself handles half your problems as a man. There's no way you can navigate this world as a man without having goals or vision you're working towards. And without working towards those goals, without your emotions stopping you along the way. You need to have something you're working towards as a man. And eight, like your friends. You see, I used to think that this idea of you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with was a cliche saying, but no, it's not. It is very important, trust me. You see, a problem with your most of your friendships are formed out of condition. Guess what? Think about it. If your friendships are formed based on condition, what that means is that there's a high chance you and your friends are never leaving that condition. Now, think about that thing carefully. Most of your friends happen because you probably live in the same area, you went to the same school, you went to the same church. But what really happened? Guess what? You keep locking yourself in that same condition. Now think about it. Have you ever taken an idea that is different from your condition, an idea that will take you out of your condition? Have you ever brought that idea to your friends? What did they say? There's a high chance they'll joke it off. There's a high chance they will doubt you. I tell people this now. Whenever I create a product, I almost never sell to my friends. Right? Why? Because Friends, now things have changed. I now have different kinds of friends, but generally, when I started out, I would almost never tell my friends because the ones that I grew up conditionally or conditioned with, they would always find a way to talk me out of it. But when I got this concept that your friends are already very familiar with you, they are familiar with your mistakes, your strengths. So guess what? Sometimes it may not be intentional, right? But they'll talk you out of it because they feel like they know some things you cannot do. They know your limits already, so they might talk you out of it. This is why I say strangers are actually your key to success. Because when a stranger sees you, what is seen is potential until you prove him wrong. What is seen around you is possibility based on how you present yourself right now. So what that means is, a quick hack is, be very intentional about your friends. And for you to get intentional about your friends, knowing that you are the average of the 5 friends you hang around with. If you're intentional about them, what that means is, if you know where you're heading to in life, right, you begin to pick friends that are heading somewhere. They may not head in the same direction you're heading, but they are heading somewhere. But you know that basically you guys are heading somewhere and you begin to orientate your life differently. You see, if you have been following my vlogs, you get to see that I hang out a lot with people who are older than me, and they have the things that I want in life. And that very act alone, it just makes you have different kinds of thought processes. Even your friends shape your thought processes. They shape the way you think. Now ask yourself, when last did you think about something that will improve your life when you're with your friends? Now, if your friends are always talking about rubbish, degenerate activities, it's a good reason to cut them off. A very good one. If your friends are friends who only come out when it's time to do dumb shit, cut them off. If your friends only give you ideas, stupid ideas, that never help you grow in life, cut them off. Like I've said, when it comes to your friendships, when you have a vision or a goal you're working towards, automatically, and this is why I said that before you plot your vision in life, you need to go into monk mode. That is the only reason. The two reasons to go into monk mode is to figure out who you want to be and to start the journey. When you come out of monk mode, you have to be very intentional about the friends you make. Because like I said, if you want to go far in life, you need friends to be around you. But you need the right set of friends, not just friends. Because like the Buddha says, it is better for you to go alone than to walk with a fool. Because a fool will always look for ways to distract you. So if you made it this far in this video, it's obvious that you're somebody who takes himself very, very serious. My name is Tonore. My life is basically dedicated towards creating content for young men to get their shit together. So thank you very much. Do somebody a favor, share this video with somebody who's going to find it very, very helpful. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. And bye for now.